Good morning, one and all. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to sunny Great Britain, sunny England, sunny UK, now divorced from the EU. So welcome. It's your first time here. Welcome to the channel. I'm very, very pleased you're here. It's an interesting ride that we've been on, and today's video that we're doing is no different than what I've done before. Just trying to start a discussion. Get your thoughts and opinions, put my thoughts and opinions out into the world. The whole reason I started this channel was to sort of throw my thoughts and opinions out into the world, start discussions, and have us talk about subjects that we're being told that we shouldn't discuss for whatever reason. And today's discussion is no different. Today we're going to be talking about one of my passions. I'm an enthusiast for crypto, digital assets. Been looking at it and been invested in it for about 3 years. And today, with all the events that are happening, it's crazy at the moment. With all the events that are happening today, we're going to go through a bit of a. I'm not going to say technical because I'm not a technical kind of person. I'm an investor and I'm an enthusiast, but I'll try and wade through what I've seen, what I've come to understand, what's been happening lately, and what I think we can do. Based on what I've seen. As I say, I'm no expert. I'm not a financial advisor, so please don't take anything I say as financial advice. You're in charge of your money. You have to make your own decisions. I'm here presenting information for a discussion, and if you take something away from it, wonderful. And if you want to contribute something in the comment section, just down underneath the video there, please go ahead, drop a comment. I try and comment and respond to comments in the section there. If you like what I'm doing, then please hit the like button as well. And if you really like what I'm doing, then subscribe like those 72 other people I think it is now. It's amazing. So thank you for all the subscribers and thank you for being here. So cryptocurrency. Now, we'll do a brief intro as well. I've done a video before about crypto. It was sort of very surface level stuff. It wasn't very deep. So today is a bit more in depth. Just to sort of get a gauge on what's happening and what I think is happening, and then see if we can come up with some solutions. So at the moment, if you haven't noticed, Bitcoin has reached 34 grand today. I mean, amazing, $34,000 for a Bitcoin. It's insanity. So you might be asking yourself, what is Bitcoin? What are digital assets? I'll give you a brief background, and then we'll get into the information that I've sort of stumbled on, if you like, or not stumbled on, but just sort of come to understand a little bit better. So Bitcoin was first digital currency, digital assets. So what is a digital asset? It's a record of digital transactions. So it's a ledger, a secure ledger, a decentralized ledger, so it's not centralized in one location. A secure, decentralized ledger of account of transactions from the start of the Bitcoin blockchain. That's the easiest way I can explain it. That's very, very secure, decentralized, and doesn't scale though. But we're going to get into what that means after. So, Bitcoin was first 2009, genius piece of tech, but it was first, cab off the rank. So, what Bitcoin has done is it started and sparked an entire industry that is in the process of digitizing the entire world. For good or for bad. Yeah, there's definitely positives to both, but and there's also negatives to both. So, Bitcoin was first 2009, invented by somebody called Satoshi Nakamoto, that no one knows who it is, which is slightly concerning because if you don't know who it is and they created something, it's But there's lots of rumors about who it could be or what group it could be. It could be a foreign government, maybe China, maybe Russia. Who knows? We don't know yet, and that's the troubling thing about it. It is an open source ledger, Bitcoin, but as we know, first generation technologies, they're never the best. Bitcoin started a revolution, and the idea behind Bitcoin was that the average person could be their own bank. So if you're talking about digital transactions, every time you make a card transactions with your card, like your credit card or your debit card, when you pay for something, that's a digital transaction. So basically what's happening there is that you are updating ledgers on both sides of the transaction. So my bank account is a ledger, your bank account is a ledger, or a merchant's bank account is a ledger. So what's happening when you make that transaction, it updates the ledger from my bank account, taking the money from my account, and then updates the other side's ledger to put the money into their account. So it's basically an accounting tool, if you like. So it's a secure record of transaction that doesn't have to touch the banks. But if you're using your card payment, if you're using your card payment, then it has a middleman goes through the bank. My bank issues that card, obviously. Now, Bitcoin maximalists, people who believe in Bitcoin, who want to get around the bank and fuck the government, all that kind of thing, which is wonderful and the idea is great, but if you honestly believe that you're going to circumvent the government and the financial system, you're delusional. It won't happen. They make the laws. They make the rules. And if as long as they keep on doing that, then you're not going to be able to circumvent. You might be able to make transactions between people, but when they make the laws, they can make it very, very hard. Now, the company that we're going to be talking mostly about today is Ripple. Ripple is a software company based in San Francisco. In the crypto community, they're hated because they work with the very banks that Bitcoin tried to walk around. Now, their rationale is, well, look, you're not going to circumvent the banking and the governments. You're going to have to work with them. So it's better to work with them to be able to extract that money from the current financial system and funnel it into blockchain and into distributed ledger, into digital assets through these connections with the banks. Now, Bitcoin maximalists would like to pretend that you don't need that, but if you can't transfer value from point A to point B, which is, at the moment it's a fiat currency system, but who knows what it will be in the future, and maybe we'll go back to a gold standard with digital transactions in between. Who knows? But if you can't extract that value from Bitcoin, I mean, maybe one day in the future we'll be paying with digital assets directly. We won't have fiat cash. But until then, we have to have that fiat entry roads and exit roads so that we can, as the investor, cash out to buy the things in the world that we want to use, because not everything can be purchased with Bitcoin or digital assets right now. It is in the process of being built so that you have those on roads and off roads into digital assets. So Ripple has done what they set out to do. They're working with more than 350 banks. They're using their software that doesn't yet use XRP because the regulatory clarity is not there. But the industry, the crypto digital asset space, people don't like Ripple because they're working with banks, which is a bit silly. But that's the infighting that happens within the industry, well, not within the industry, but within the crypto community, especially on crypto Twitter. You have the Bitcoin maximalists, you have the, all the people who think their project's the best and it's going to win and all the others are going to fail. I mean, it's delusional. So that's what really this video is about today, is about maxis and, and how these things, the big buzzword around cryptocurrency and digital assets is interoperability. Now, what that means is how do you interoperate, not only between crypto blockchains and digital asset blockchains and distributed ledgers, but with the current financial system that, some of that system is 50 years old. The Swift system is nearly 50. How do you integrate brand new technology into that system? So I believe from what I've seen, this is happening as we speak. Now, this also ties into the SEC lawsuit against Ripple for selling an unlicensed security, and when it happened, when it dropped, and why it happened right then. So, what's happening currently? There was an exciting event that happened within the XRP community last year, December. That there's a new company. Ripple created something. It's called the XRPL, the XRP Ledger, which is the settlement layer. This is the ledger that XRP runs on. So the XRP is the native token for the XRP ledger. So that's if you like, if transactions move across the ledger, then the XRP is a native token to allow that to happen. Okay. So last year there's a company called Flare that announced that they're going to be building on the XRP ledger, which means that when they build on the XRP ledger, they have all the benefits of XRP in their platform that's built on top. So speed, what the Ripple, the XRP ledger and XRP does, what it has that is amazing that people want to use, is it has a speed of settlement, the settlements layer, which means it can settle within 3 or 4 seconds, which means I can send money from here in British pounds to Australia into Australian dollars in a few seconds, and they have the cash in their end, and the banks don't have to settle in the background later. So it's settled within a few seconds, it's fast, and it's almost free. It's almost free to transact, even large amounts of money, which is why banks and financial institutions want to use it, because, well, they're going to make more money. And there's also rules coming into place that they don't have a choice. They have to change over, because it's those savings also have to be passed on to the end user, which is us. That means that as an investor, that if they do what they plan on doing, there's a possibility that the price could go up if they have the option that they plan on having. So the Flare network's building on top of the XRPL. They announced that last year. They did a snapshot. They're doing a utility fork, which means they're copying, for all intents and purposes, but not really, the XRPL, and building their platform on top. Right, so because they copied it, or because the utility fork, every XRP holder in the world gets an equal amount of XRP to this new token Spark that comes from the Flare network. We get that for free because they forked the network. Long story, very technical. I don't fully understand it. Go and have a look. Go and read about it if you want to. So they're building on top of the XRPL, and then there's another company called Flare Finance that's building on top of that, on top of the Flare network. So Flare Finance has got 6 different products that they're launching. So there's insurance, there's decentralized finance, or DeFi, that everyone's talking about right now. It's the buzzword in digital assets. These kind of things that they're doing, lending and staking and yield farming, and it is a brave new world that's being built on the XRPL. Now, over the course of these years that I've been involved in, we listen to people that are in the industry. We listen to people like Brad Garlinghouse, who's the CEO of Ripple. We listen to people like David Schwartz, who's the CTO of Ripple. People like Vitalik Buterin over at Ethereum. People like Charles Hoskinson over at IOHK, which is Cardano. These people are knowledgeable. They're in the industry. They're sort of sharing with us what they're doing. And it's a very close-knit community within crypto and digital assets. Everyone knows each other. It's a small group of people, developers, that are developing this technology. And they're constantly out there talking about what they're doing, who they're interacting with, what they're trying to do, what problems they're trying to solve, and taking feedback from us as well. Because those developers can then work on problems that we see that we think they can benefit from it. So what's happening in this space at the moment? Now, if you imagine that currently all banking is centralized, so the banks control the money, right? That's been that way for thousands of years. You have these central banking. In the US, the first central bank was the Federal Reserve. This is actually the third version of the Federal Reserve. That was about 107 years ago or something, the Federal Reserve. This current one is being put in place. So the banks control the money, right? So if you want a loan, you have to go to the bank and get a loan. The centralized authority gives you the money. So what DeFi does is it's decentralizing finance. So it's almost like crowdfunding, if you like, to get a loan from people that are willing to stake their coins, and if you're willing to stake yours as well. So there's lots of different products. There's 6 different products they're launching, and the DeFi space is it's everywhere at the moment. Within digital assets, there's a lot of different projects. Like I know Tron's working on it as well, and there's a few other things. But what I noticed with this platform, with this Flare platform and the Flare network and Flare finance that's launching, is something that tries. I hear all these people talking, all these people within the industry. I hear them talking, and some of the things that keep on popping up. They sort of click into, when you have new information, things click and go, so that ties to that ties to that. Right, so one of these things that when this Flare Finance information dropped, when they let out a video, they explained what they were doing. A few things sort of came back to me, and it made me remember what things have been said. So Brad Garlinghouse is famous for saying, when he's been doing interviews, that people are fighting with each other about my token's best. But he said, in this industry, most of crypto, when regulations come, will go away because they're not compliant. They're not worthy of anything. They have no utility at all. They're just shitcoins. They're scams. Most of that will go away. And then he said, what will happen when the tide comes in, all boats will rise. Now, what does that mean? How can all boats rise? Legitimate projects. How can they all rise together when we have this regulatory clarity? So I find it strange that in December they did this this Spark token Flare airdrop. So they did a snapshot. December. Now, Ripple, I have to take a step back. Ripple has been working with regulators since their inception, 2013-14, and been trying to ask for regulatory clarity, but been working with regulators from day one to make sure that they're compliant, make sure that they're compliant with all the regulations that so far. But there's been no regulatory clarity, and why? Why has there been no regulatory clarity? Well, in 2017, if you don't know, there was a massive bull run where Bitcoin hit its all-time high of 20,000 back then. Caused a massive stir in the industry. Everyone was jumping in. Then the price crashed. The whole market went down by about 80%. And it's in the last 3 years, it's been sort of sitting idly. A few little bumps here and there, but idly sitting down. Massive losses. Everyone thought it was dead, of course. And now the price of the digital assets is starting to run up again. Bitcoin's, as I said, 34,000 today. But why? If over the course of the 7 or 8 years that Ripple has been working with these regulators, why has there been no regulatory clarity at all? But Bitcoin and Ethereum have had regulatory clarity. They've both been deemed not securities by the SEC a couple of years ago. So the bull run of 2017 was shut down very, very quickly by introducing futures trading on Bitcoin, which popped the bubble, and that all went down, and the whole market went down with it. So why did after all these years of working with regulators, did the SEC chairman drop the lawsuit against Ripple the day before he left his job? Why now? Why just after the Flare airdrop? Why just after the Flare snapshot? So I think what's happened is that over the course of these years, they've been building this system, this new financial system. In the sort of background, in the forefront in the media, they've been telling us all that it's all a scam, get out of crypto. But they've been building it in the background. You've got JP Morgan and all these massive trading companies and banks are all been building their on-ramps, their on-roads, if you like, into the crypto industry by setting up exchanges within their organisations, and the whole time telling everyone it's all a scam. They've been spending hundreds of millions setting up these trading desks, the whole time telling everyone it's a scam. If that doesn't tell you how finance and banking works, then nothing will. So why now? So he's dropped this lawsuit. I believe that the system is ready. And things like these DeFi projects, like this thing that's being built on top of the XRPL, DeFi projects. I know that Tron's working on something as well. But I think what sort of made it all clear to me, there's the governments have just banned privacy coins like Monero and those kind of things that allows you to transfer value without being able to be spied on. Like most cryptos, they're open blockchains. So why now is that I think the system is ready and they're ready to launch. Things like Flare is launching in May of next year. But what I think is happening is, Flare's got a decentralized exchange. They've also got a swap mechanism. As part of there's 6 different products, as I say, insurance and swaps and decentralized exchange. But what I think is happening is, and like I say, I've listened to so many things across the industry, so many different people talking. I mean, Justin Sun from Tron. I've listened to Brad Garlinghouse. And then in the background, look at what companies like IBM, Microsoft, Hyperloop, that's being built is, and then you've got oracles and overledgers and hyperledgers. All these things are tied together in one big machine. And if you imagine that each token, each coin represents a cog in that machine, and those cogs are finally being joined together in this DeFi process, and in this grander scheme of things that are being built to tie all together to be cogs in the machine for one big machine. Now the problem as it stands right now, Bitcoin isn't scalable. There's something called the Crypto Trilemma, right? So the Crypto Trilemma is decentralization. Decentralization means that it's not centralized in one spot, which is the allure of digital assets and cryptocurrencies, because it can't be shut down. If you have lots of different places that hold all the information for that blockchain, it's decentralized in lots of different locations, you can never shut it down because it's so decentralized. So you have decentralization, scalability, and security of the network, right? So the problem, for instance, like Bitcoin, is the more decentralized it is, the less secure it is. The more decentralized it is, the less secure, I think, because it's not scalable, because it's then all those nodes, all that decentralization has to confirm the transaction, so it slows the network. So it's not really scalable if it's secure and it's decentralized. So the crypto trilemma means that when you have no one solved all three problems. You can't have all three problems solved, so it can't be secure, decentralized. There's always one of those puzzles that don't fit together. Now the Bitcoin is worth a massive amount of money, $34,000 today, which means it's got a lot of liquidity in the market, but it's very slow. There's only about 7 transactions a second that can happen on Bitcoin, which means that it could never ever be a worldwide transfer mechanism, because there's too many. The fees are too high and it's too slow to be able to transact that many transactions across the world to be a worldwide reserve currency. So one of the problems that this solves, and as I say, there's a lot of different projects that have fixed this, is that you have something called a wrapped product. So imagine that you have your platform is very, very fast, so it settles really, really fast, and it's almost free to transact on that network. If you could send Bitcoin and Ethereum over that network for free and really, really quickly, it would solve the problem that Bitcoin has. It's not scalable, but it has a massive amount of liquidity. So what these platforms are doing is they have these wrapped products. So a wrapped product, if you want to have it, it's almost like an IOU or a derivative of that product that you have. So wrapped Bitcoin, if I want to send Bitcoin to you, then I am on their platform and I send the Bitcoin from my account that I hold, my wallet, and it goes from mine, it goes onto the platform where they hold that Bitcoin in a secure storage, and they have something called a wrapped Bitcoin product, which is like an IOU that they then send over that network, and on the other end they get delivered the Bitcoin to you. Does that make sense? And then that transaction can be lodged onto the Bitcoin blockchain later. There's no need for speed in that instance, because the Bitcoin that you hold as an IOU is held in trust in the cold storage of that platform that you transferred it through. Right, so that could be Tron, it could be this new Flare Finance. There's a lot of people solving the same problem with wrapped products. Now, when I've been listening to these people talk, one of the things that really sounded very interesting was that you have all these different blockchains and things, and the interoperability between them. Where does that come from, and how does that work, and what does that mean? I mean, at the end of the day, what does that mean for me? So if you imagine that you have all the different networks that are operating, so XRP is the XRPL is very, very quick. It can do thousands of transactions a second. Same with Tron, same with other networks. I know Cardano is working on some solutions as well. So you have all these networks. Imagine if you have all these cogs in the machine, and you want to transfer value from point A to point B. No one network can hold all those transactions. It can't handle. Not one network can handle that volume of transactions to have the whole world going digital. And the whole world is going digital. You need to understand that. So because one network can't handle it, how do you, as a consumer, as a financial institution, as a bank, whatever, how can you have how can you work with a system where you don't know whether one day it's going to be perfect and it's going to be really, really fast and everything's good. The next day it might not be because there's so much traffic going through it. So what I think is happening is the governance model of this is being built through these massive conglomerates like IBM and Microsoft, this Hyperledger thing, and there's oracles and things like that. What I think, my opinion, is that these massive over the top overledgers or hyperledgers or whatever you want to call it, that is the governance model that sits over the top that decides what blockchain, what network those transactions will go through. So if you have wrapped products like wrapped Bitcoin, you can have Bitcoin stored in cold storage, and we could all be transferring IOUs via these networks around the world like in a wrapped product. But you still own the Bitcoin because you own the private keys for it. It gets quite technical. So these hyperledgers or overledgers or whatever you want to call it, oracles, could then govern which network is the best for which fees and the speed of the network to get it from point A to point B best. So, today I want to send a transaction of Bitcoin from point A to point B. The Bitcoin blockchain is very, very slow at the moment. So it chooses, Tron hasn't got much going, so that goes through Tron, or it goes through the XRPL as a wrapped product, or it goes through another DeFi platform as a wrapped product. So you could literally transfer anything of value that's digitized around the world from point A to point B using these wrapped products or a digital representation of that is held equal 1-to-1. So if I'm transferring an ounce of gold, it's an equal 1-to-1 to that thing of value that you're transferring is held in cold storage, maybe by a company called Polysign. Maybe they'll be the cold storage of all things of value that are digitally done on the internet. Perhaps. Maybe that's one of the cogs in the machine as well. We don't know. Polysign's been very, very quiet. So I think what's happening is that the long story short, with the advent of all these DeFi products and what's happening in the industry right now, and the over ledgers and the hyper ledgers and all those kind of things being built, I think it's the framework for the new digital economy that's coming, that the transactional speed will be able to be guaranteed because there's so many different ledgers that we have, that the best will be chosen at that moment for that transaction based on which network is the fastest or the slowest. So when you have people saying all boats will rise, that's where I think it comes from. I think it's depending on making sure that it is a legitimate project, that it does what it says it's going to do, and that's going to be governed by smart contracts, and governance as well, the over governance of these things through these smart contract layers and through these overledgers or hyperledgers or whatever you want to call them, or oracles, to decide which network for that transaction at that moment is the best network. I mean, if I'm right, and as I say, I'm not a technical person, so I welcome the feedback from anyone that is. If I'm right, then it does mean that all boats will rise, because when the regulatory clarity comes, which is promised by a guy called Brian Brooks over at the OCC, head of the Office of the Comptroller of Currency in America, promised that there would be regulation in 6 to 8 weeks. That was on the 4th of December last year. So probably by the end of January, we should have some kind of regulatory clarity. When the rest of the world's already done, it's just we're waiting on America. When that happens, the institutions, banking, financial institutions, around the world can then transact value digitally, instantly around the world for next to nothing. And it takes the power away from the banks because anybody can use the technology. Then we have a true level playing field. What's that going to do for the world? What's that going to do for our world economy? This whole shutdown that's happening now is the end of the current financial system. And we're going into a brave new world of, I believe, a gold-backed currency with digital transactions that happen in between, where money and things of value can move at the speed of light through the internet, physically settled on the other end instantly for next to no cost. I mean, what's that going to do for the world? And so, am I right? Who knows? I suppose time will tell. But if you, as an investor, and I'm sure that there are people out there who are also wanting to go down this route, you need to look closely at the products you're invested in. I'm personally invested in XRP, XLM, ADA, which is Cardano. What else have I got? Hedera Hashgraph, Tron, what else? Holochain. Look at the projects, look at the white papers, look at the people behind it, look who they're connected to, as in banks, financial institutions, and then make your decision about where you want to put your money. Put it into the projects that you believe that are going to change the future for the better for all of society, and then you're making the right decisions. All right, I hope this helps. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to speaking to you real soon. Take care. Bye.